What's up guys, I'm DK Wrestler, and in today's video, I'm going to be ranking the worst to the best WonderCon 2023 exclusives. So let's get right to it. So how this will obviously work is that I'm going to go one by one of each of the Funko exclusives for WonderCon, whether it's the Pops, the Sodas, the Pop Pez, and even the t-shirt, and start with what I feel is the worst and work my way up until what I feel is simply the best. So the worst exclusive, in my opinion, is the masked Freddy Funko Pop Pez. Now, I totally forgot that Pop Pez was still a thing. Also, I'm not entirely the biggest fan of Freddy Funko. I think he's a little bit overrated in my opinion, but I mean, Pez I don't collect all that much, so obviously it would be basically right at the bottom of my list. Next up would be the Satoru Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen. This has to be the most bland and boring anime pop in recent memory. There could be so many different candidates for an anime Comic-Con exclusive, but they chose this one that could have easily been a common or regular exclusive for a new wave of Jujutsu Kaisen pops. Next up would be the Diamond Collection Power Line from a Goofy movie. Now don't get me wrong, the molding of the character looks pretty cool, but in no way, shape, or form should this pop have been under the Diamond Collection specification, especially when you take the black hair color and then the brown fur color and put glitter on it. It just does not look good at all. Then I have listed down the 3-liter Queen Funko Soda figure. In my opinion, it makes no sense whatsoever to make a character like the Queen under the 3-liter treatment. This should be for bigger size characters. We've seen it with the Iron Giant. We've seen it with Wampa. Even with Hulk, that definitely makes sense because they are larger size characters, while the Queen is obviously a human character. Maybe they wanted to make it a 3-liter for the sake of the objects being more detailed, and you can see that, but even then, it just didn't make sense, and I think more people would prefer the Queen being a regular size Funko Soda rather than a 3-liter form. Next up would be the Hedwig with letters from Harry Potter. We've seen a ton of different Hedwig pops, whether it is by himself or with some sort of moments involving Harry Potter, but now it's just taking the regular Hedwig pop and then adding an object in front of it, saving time to make a new molding. So I feel like it was a little bit of a waste of time of making this, but at least it's 3,000 pieces, so there's not a lot of them being made. Next up would be the Groot with detonator from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I don't really see a point of them making this pop, especially because Volume 2 was made in 2017, so a little bit, you know, like at least 5 years in the past already, and a lot of people are more concentrated with the new movies like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, so why are we still making pops for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2? Speaking of Marvel movies, Lord Kryler from Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Now this one is a little bit meh. I do like the idea of the more obscure characters being made into a Comic-Con exclusive pop instead of taking characters that we really want that deserve to be more of commons or regular exclusives down the line. It's cool that this is Bill Murray, but at the same time it is a little bit plain and simplistic, and I don't exactly know how many people would really want to get this Funko Pop. Next up would be both of the Freddy Funko Pops, and in specific order, I'm going to say the baseball, then the clown version. It's kind of cool to see Freddy Funko exclusive Comic-Con pops, but like I mentioned earlier, I'm not entirely the biggest fan of Freddy Funko, but I do appreciate some of the moldings, and especially the clown one I do like, even though people are complaining that I believe it is Ghost Clown's body mold, except it's just painted a different color, which I mean, I guess I'm alright with that, and I do like the colors involved with the clown one, and it makes sense that it is going to be limited to 1,500 pieces because only a certain amount of people are going to want to get this Freddy Funko Pop. Next up is the Cinderella with trays from the Disney Princess lineup. I'm not entirely the biggest fan of the Disney Princess lineup, but I do appreciate the molding that they did for here. At least it's not a Disney Princess with a gold dress like we've been getting for Funko Shop exclusives. It's a complete different mold where she's holding the trays. It's not my cup of tea though, which is why it's near the bottom. Next up would be the Hercules with action figure from Hercules. Now, although I don't think I'm going to be getting this still is not too bad. I do like it more than, obviously, Cinderella, because I'd be more of a fan of Hercules than I would be with Disney princesses, which is why it's a little bit higher on the list, but it isn't one of the better Hercules figures in my opinion. Next would be the Valkyrie Funko soda figure, and I felt like this soda could have been a little bit better, and it definitely could have shot up on the list if, let's say, the chase was not only glow in the dark, but if there was a bit of a different posing to it, or there was also metallic added to it. But making the same exact molding and then not knowing whether it's glow in the dark until you feel the actual figure and seeing that there's rough paint, or the Pog and seeing that it's glow in the dark, it's just a little bit meh. They could have done something a little bit better, even if it was a different color switch as terms to her attire. I think that if they would have done one of those things, that this would have shot up much higher, but it's a little bit of a lackluster soda in my opinion. Next on the list would be the Snagglepuss Funko soda with the flocked chase. Now, I do really appreciate that the chase is flocked. I'm always a fan of flocked chases, especially because when you add that flocked specification, it makes the color of what the figure is a little bit different, whether it makes it a little bit lighter or it makes it a little bit darker, and it makes sense for this character to have a flocked treatment. And especially with this soda being only limited to 2,500 pieces, that's absolutely insane, and I know a lot of people would be going nuts for this. Not my cup of tea, but I still appreciate a Funko soda like this. And then to end off the Funko sodas, I might as well mention about the Bugs Bunny as Superman. Now, this isn't too bad. I mean, I mentioned in a previous video, I believe, that I understand why they made this is because there's the Warner Brothers 100th anniversary. They already did this mashup of Looney Tunes and DC, but it's mashing the two Warner Brothers properties of DC and Looney Tunes together, so it makes sense that they release it around this time. I would rather want a regular Bugs Bunny Funko soda, but I guess this will do for right now. Next up would be the Funhouse t-shirt, and I do appreciate the overall design of it, and especially how you have that more, I don't even think it's white, I think it's more of a beigey color, and then you have the design of like the clown with the Funhouse, and then you have the like Ferris wheel or part of the roller coaster. I can't tell exactly what it is, but you do see rides in the t-shirt, so it's very detailed, and especially I'm always a fan of when they make a huge logo in the front and nothing in the back, instead of those t-shirts where it's just a small logo in the front and then a big logo on the back. Next up would be the regular Powerline Pop from a Goofy movie. Now, this one I definitely can appreciate because it's just a regular figure. There's no specification on it, especially one that doesn't make sense. If this was flocked, I would understand because of the fur involved with Powerline, but making it Diamond Collection, it's not good. But just having a regular version of this with that nice posing definitely makes it appreciated more and way higher on the list than that Diamond Collection version. Next up would be the Skrull as Iron Man pop comic covers. Now, I do appreciate this mainly because we barely get Skrull pops as it is, so it's a little bit refreshing instead of seeing your regular Marvel characters like Spider-Man. We've seen a lot of Wolverines and especially Hawkeye as of late because of the Disney Plus series. Even though it is dressed up as Iron Man, it's still cool that Funko's acknowledging other Marvel characters that we don't really see all that much, and it makes for a great Comic-Con exclusive. Next up would be the Poison Ivy from Batman, and I like this better than the Skrull just because of the details that are involved with this Poison Ivy pop, like the vines around here, and especially the certain vines with like the teeth involved, so I think that's really cool. You do have a nice application of like the eyeshadow detail being like green, and then you do see the leaves in her hair. So I do really like the detail involved with this pop, and that's why it had shot up on this list. Next up, I have both of the One Piece pops. So first off, I would say the singular 4-inch pop and then the Trafalgar pop rides. Both of these are pretty decent as terms to the detail. I mean, there isn't really a bad anime pop besides maybe that Jujutsu Kaisen pop we talked about earlier on this list. But I do like the detail involved with both of these, but the rides is a little bit better just because of the past rides that they have done with the Luffys for NYCC and CCXP respectively. So I think it deserved to be a little bit higher up on the list, knowing how well these sell, plus the detail that's involved with the ride itself. Next on the list would be To Wear It from Moon Knight. I do enjoy the way this pop looks. I really love the detail, and I enjoyed the character while watching the Moon Knight series. I think this is a little bit long overdue. Even though the series has been out for over a year now, I knew that there definitely was more room to add add more pops, especially of newer characters, into the lineup, and this is a perfect candidate. Whether or not this will actually be 3,000 pieces or not, this is something that I would kind of consider getting compared to a lot of the pops. Next on the list is the Flick on Dandelion Seeds Pop Deluxe from A Bug's Life. Personal reaction wise, I was so excited about this pop because we may be seeing a huge new wave of A Bug's Life pops. We only seen the 3 regular pops of Flick, Princess Ada, and Heimlich, but now we're seeing more pops for this lineup, which is awesome because it definitely is one of the more underrated Pixar movies. And even though it is another Flick, I do appreciate that they acknowledge this certain moment that's near the beginning of the movie as a pop, and I can't wait for the near future of when we will see more characters. Maybe we'll see a Hopper, maybe we'll see the circus crew. I think that this is a lineup that definitely deserves more pops than it already has. Next on the list are both of the gelatinous cube pops from Dungeons & Dragons, and I think more specifically, I'm gonna go glow-in-the-dark then regular. I mean, I think you can go either way because both versions will look cool because the detail of this pop is so insane compared to a lot of Funko Pop molds that I think having either or would look cool, but I do understand the glow-in-the-dark aspect and how it kind of looks like it will be underwater, even though it is in, like, obviously a gelatin cube, hence the name gelatinous cube. So I do enjoy the way that this looks, and especially the pop inside of it is much better because the original one has more of a skeleton head rather than an actual body. And now what I feel like is obviously the best Funko Pop for WonderCon 2023, and probably a lot of people's favorite, that being Lotso from Toy Story as a part of the new Classics lineup. I was so excited about this pop. Obviously, I don't exactly have the funds to pay for the original Lotso that's in like the 3 digits, and especially getting into the 4 digits when you're talking about the flocked D23 Lotso, that now I can find a Lotso pop for my Toy Story set that is very affordable compared to the original Lotso pops, and it comes in more of a premium tin. You're getting more bang for your buck, plus it's a more detailed pop compared to the 2 previous Lotsos, and it's a for sure need in my collection compared to a lot of these pops on this list. Anyways guys, that's gonna be the end of today's video. If you enjoyed today's video on the worst to best WonderCon exclusives for this year, definitely like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think are the worst and best WonderCon exclusives from this year, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. 1, 2, 3, I'm out of here.